In my last video, I mentioned that Blanca and I attended a party on Saturday where I was not the DJ. We were guests. In fact, we showed up before the music started, which was about, I don't know, maybe quarter after 4. And we left when the music stopped, which was after midnight. So we were there all night, and we had a nice time. And I wasn't constantly hyper focused on what the DJ was doing because, well, it wasn't really my event, right? I was there as a guest. I was being social and spending time with Blanca. I can't really dance anywhere, but she did. She went out and danced. I didn't know a few people there, so I was social. It was nice. It was really pleasant. But having said that, it's tough to be a DJ when you're in an event and you're not the DJ sometimes. There's been a lot of talk about this on social media. We did a The Shaggy News broadcast about this a while back, and we were with Sean Big Daddy. He was saying, hey, just relax and enjoy the party. You know, that's easier said than done for a lot of us, I think. I'll admit that it's easier said than done for me. Now, full disclosure, I didn't just show up at this event knowing nothing about what was going on with the rig that was up there. In fact, more than half of the equipment was mine anyway. It was my friend Art's daughter's quinceanera. The speakers were mine. We used Evolve 50s. We used my Ape Light Maxi Pack. He had his own heads there, but it was a facade that I own. It was some totems that I own. I didn't own the controllers or the microphones, but a lot of that stuff up there did belong to me. So I was there partially as a technical advisor. But I was asked questions about things. I didn't go up there and start telling people what was what. Okay, fine, that's a lie. I kind of did. But I only did it when I was tuning the system. I did it early on. The DJ, really cool guy, Eddie B, he had never used column arrays before. And Art was telling him how much he liked him and how, he had chose those speakers for this event. And, before I introduced him to him, he wouldn't have done it. He would have done a much bigger system. But he sees that, some of the smaller stuff is actually very effective. It spreads out real nice. And it was perfect. There were like 200 people at the event. And the way the room was arranged, it was a long dance floor that went all the way to the end of the hall. And then on either side were the guests. The spread was really nice for column arrays. And I was able to take some mid out of the system. So I wasn't complaining about it being too loud. And I took Eddie around the room. I'm like, here, I've got the system tuned. What do you think? And he said, I like it. It's good and full. I'm like, yeah, and we're not screaming at each other. It's like, oh my God, we're not. This is good. I like this. So I was able to tune the system to my ear, which is probably a big reason I wasn't complaining. When I'm a guest at an event, that's usually the one thing that just pulls me out of guest mode is a sound system that's like causing tinnitus or something, that's painful, that's too mid-heavy, where I have to scream at people because the mid of the system is sucking up all the energy in the room, and if you want anybody to hear you, you have to yell at them to compete with the mid-range that's coming out of the PA. Or I turn it down. That's very helpful. And, I talked to Eddie about it. I said, look, we can talk to each other, so it's less tiring for us, and the guests are going to be able to talk to each other too. What that's going to do is keep them from leaving the room to talk. So you're going to keep guests in the room. Because what happens a lot of times, especially at a social event like this, you can't hear somebody, you leave the room to have the conversation. Or you just get tired and you leave. And ear fatigue is a real thing. And I think it has a negative effect on an event, even if nobody complains. And the worst thing is when you're DJing, right? And somebody's like, it's too loud. They put their fingers in their ears. It's the mid usually that's too harsh. So we brought that down, not only on the speakers, they did like a -2 on the Evolve 50s, but I showed him my little mid cut trick on their controllers themselves, and Eddie liked it. And I also did a little bit of technical advising on the lighting because I was asked to do it early on. And I'd go up there once in a while and I'd grab the Ape remote and make the lights do something different. But, yeah, aside from that, the mix, like I said, I was spending time with Blanca, I was being social, But full disclosure, I mean, of course I'm paying attention on some level to the mix. Now, Eddie did some things that I wouldn't have done. He cut some songs short that I didn't feel like he needed to cut short. But what I did do is look to see what the audience's reaction was to what he did. And it didn't have a negative effect, you know? And I will say that the dance floor was packed all night. It was just a great group. So he definitely did something right. I mean, I did have Blanca in my ear about that time that he played like 6 cumbias in a row because she's Puerto Rican and she don't like that. And that was kind of part of the reason I did the last 2 videos and why I don't put cumbia on my mixed Latin audience list. But I will say this. If I didn't know this DJ, if this DJ wasn't asking me questions or asking for my advice on things, which the DJ was, by the way, Art's a DJ, right? So the father of the girl having the kids is a DJ, plus his DJ's there, and I'm there, so the three of us are kind of, having conversations about things. I wouldn't have bothered anybody. If I was just somebody who happened to be a DJ and a guest and didn't really know what was going on up there or who that was or anything else, I wouldn't have bothered them. That's not to say I happened in the past. That's not to say as a younger, less experienced DJ or maybe less mature DJ, I haven't bugged DJs about stuff. Hey, I'm a DJ too. Hey, why don't you do this? Hey, why don't you play that? I've grown past that. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't sit there and just cringe if something was bothering me like sound or lighting. Well, maybe next time I'm a guest at an event, I won't know the DJ. That might happen later on this year. We'll see. Stay tuned for that, and we'll talk about that. But anyway, we'll see you later, guys. Just a quick video for you. Going out by request. Practice and enjoy.